This is Niels Han Dynasty coming to you live from the dynasty of Niels Han Dynasty or something like that. Anyhow, please like, share, and subscribe. Be kind, helpful, and grateful because it's better than being a jerk. And buy yourself some silver and some platinum and some crystallized osmium because it's better to have than have not, I guess. It's sound advice. It's not good advice. It's not financial advice. It's sound advice. Anyhow, bringing you support. It's from Science Alert. Human mini brains launched into space thrived in an unexpected way. Human mini brains in little vials surprised scientists by surviving a stint in low Earth orbit. Researchers sent lab-grown blobs of human neural tissue known as organoids for a short holiday on the International Space Station back in 2019. What they got back a month later amazed them. 2019, it took them 4 years to get us this information, almost 5. Not only were the cells healthy and thriving after weeks in a weightlessness, they had matured faster than the same cells here on Earth. The fact that these cells survived in space was a big surprise, says molecular biologist Jenny Loring of the Scripps Research Institute. This lays the groundwork for further experiments in space in which we can include other parts of the brain that are affected by neurodegenerative diseases. Hey, what's up, Art Collector? The International Space Station, ISS, represents a unique opportunity for research. It provides us with the means and study to affect microgravity on a human cells, which has implications not just for astronauts, which represent minuscule minority of humans, but also for Earth research for humans on Earth. The ISS as a platform for disease modeling and drug development. A team of researchers led by molecular biologist David Maratta of the International Space Station's National Library set out to investigate the effects of microgravity on the human brain. Yeah, they sent little brains. Right on. They sent little brains into outer space, Art, and it's interesting what happened to them here. Okay, let me get back to the story here. Libraries set out to investigate the effects of microgravity on human brains, specifically the neurons that are affected by neurodegenerative conditions such as multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease. They grew the organoids, which is what they're calling mini brains, little neurons of actual human tissue, brain tissue. They grew the organoids in a lab using human-induced pluripotent stem cells from healthy donors in patients with MS and Parkinson's disease. These are stem cells that are created by taking normal cells from an adult human and reverting them to a point in the cell's development before it has differentiated into a specific type. The stem cells were then introduced into developed into neurons, specifically the cortical or dulmus, neurons that are impacted by these neurodegenerative conditions. Some of the organoids also included brain immune cells called microglia. Such clusters of cells have nothing remotely approaching science. I don't know why they did that then. The organoids made of these cells were prepared in a special designed cryovials on Earth and then divided into 2 groups. Some remained here on the ground and others were launched into space to spend a month developing in Earth orbit aboard the ISS. When the organoids were brought back to Earth, the researchers carefully studied them to see the difference from those that they had remained on Earth, on the surface of the Earth. The fact that the organs survived and were healthy was a big enough surprise, but there were also marked differences between the Earth-based and space-faring groups. Irrespective of whether they were grown from healthy donors or patients with neurodegenerative conditions, the spacefaring organoids had a greater expression of genes associated with cell maturation, but fewer associated with cell proliferation than the Earth-based ones, revealing that the organoid cells replicated more slowly in space but matured faster. The other interesting discovery was that the organoids that flew in space expressed fewer genes associated with stress and displayed less inflammation than the researchers expected, based on the comparison with Earth-based organoids. This could be because of microgravity is closer to the condition of inside the human skull than sitting in a vial on Earth's gravity's conditions. The characteristics of the microgravity are probably also at work in people's brains because there's no convection in the microgravity. In other words, things don't move, says Lori. I-79, Gerald, Joseph. I think that in space, these organoids are more like the brain because they are not getting flushed with a whole bunch of culture medium or oxygen. They are very independent from something like that brainlet in a microcosm of the brain. This intriguing finding suggests that microgravity could be a proxy for conditions that are more natural for brain organoids than the culture vessel on Earth from which they were normally studied. Microgravity could become a laboratory for study on how the brain cells react to certain stresses or drugs, conditions closer to what the human brain experiences in life. So basically what they're doing is they're coming up they discovered a way to come up with a better way of making drugs that will, I guess, affect the brain for these neurological conditions like Parkinson's and old timers. But this is some interesting news I just wanted to bring to you guys. I didn't want to waste too much of your time, but I found it very interesting that they're doing space experiments, low Earth orbit space experiments in the ISS that isn't making mainstream news, and I find that very interesting. But that was tonight's report. As I get this interesting, please stay. How many G5 towers do we need? Okay, what are we talking about here, guys? Yes, Space Drugs 79. They're actually looking at a way to develop a better regime of drugs that are more effective for the human brain. That's why I brought that report to you, because they sent living human brain cells they put into a blob called an organoid, and they did this study samples, keeping one on Earth and then sent one up to the ISS, the International Space Station, and to see the growth and development or any differences between the two. And they discovered, oddly enough, the organoid did better in space than they thought it would, which might actually lead to some scientists doing research on, yes, I know you do, 79. We're all pray that you get better drugs, trust me. But it might lead to some scientists looking to see if we may have originated in outer space, if outer space is a better test environment for the natural human brain. That's an interesting thing that came out of that report as far as I'm concerned. Actually, love is supposed to also be the fourth dimension, Gerald, if we want to get into dimensional physics. I don't. But anyhow, any interesting things you guys want to talk about space drugs or space brains, or your brains being sent into outer space to be developed so they can manufacture better drugs for your brains here on Earth? That's another reason why I wanted to bring this report, because I'm all about space mining, space. I got caught up in. I'm in the tailwind of the Elon Musk rocket to Mars thought concept. I don't think we should go to Mars, but I do think we should have. And also, England already contracted with Rolls-Royce to make a micro nuclear reactor that they can use on the moon for a moon base by 2030, and it's supposed to be delivered by 2031. So we're already working to get to the moon. And there's hydrogen-3 was discovered on the moon as well. So, and that's rocket fuel, and they've already have ways of extracting it, surface mining it. So it's very feasible, not yet cost efficient, but feasible and doable to mine the moon's dark side, or excuse me, for the H3 or the hydrogen-3 it has, and take along everything needed to make rocket fuel. And then from there, it's like building a shell, a 76 station. You send a rocket from Earth up with the bare minimum amount of fuel, and then you refuel it on the moon because it's, it's pretty weightless. It's cheaper and easier to fill it up in outer space than it is to launch a fully loaded spacecraft here from Earth carrying all that extra fuel. How can you profit from what? Look into the research and see what companies are developing processes to come up with new forms of drugs off of this research. Get the white paper on it and look and see what companies are interested, and then follow up on those companies, see how interested, and then what parameters they're interested in, and then you can get in on a. But you're probably at that point in time, it's really not. Those pharmaceutical companies are already expensive as far as stock price goes. So all they're doing actually is bumping their stock price. It might jump $100, but if it's a $2,000 stock, $100 ain't crap. You're not making a profit. If you're going to invest in a company, so you want to go with the penny stocks, because if they burp, you can make thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. You get a 1 penny stock, it burps up to 3 and jumps back down, and you sold 1/3 of it. You got all your money back. You still have twice as much as profit margin in that one stock. So then next time, you just keep using it as a bank account. Every time it jumps up from 1 to 3, pull out 1, it goes back down. It does it again, boom, pull out 1. It's your thought process of investing and how you want to invest. What's up, C4? Do I hear myself talking? No, I actually put in earplugs just in case you come along, so I can't hear you talk to me, 79. Actually, I muted you. So actually, I muted my TV, so I can't hear you talking. Everyone's like, yeah, I can't hear her either, man. But anyhow, no other questions about space drugs or your brains being sent to space to do experiments on? Because that's what this was all about. I just got the report. Oh, I did see that the report I did earlier on that island northwest of Madagascar that got hit by that cyclone, and there could be tens of thousands of deaths. I did see Sky News Australia did a report about 4 hours after I did a report. They did a report on it. So it's good to see that I turned that report out 4 hours before a larger news station. So for the 14 of you that saw that report, you got it 4 hours before any respectable, larger online news corporation or whatever got that and put that story out. Oh, I'm sure there's interstellar cocaine. If you look at and here's an interesting thing, C4, and if you look at the Mycelia network, okay, oh my God, there's so much to be learned about the Mycelia network. One thing off the top of my head about the Mycelia network, you have a mycelia up underneath your epidermal, up underneath your skin. There's a small layer of mycelia. The Earth, in the crust of the Earth, has mycelia in it. You want to know where else they found mycelia? In asteroids and on other planets, which means mycelia is the only thing we've discovered that's not only on our planet, in us, and in outer space. They've also, believe it or not, I think they're called tartar worms or something like that. They've discovered out in space also that have a quote unquote mycelia network for traveling. So there's a lot to be discovered about mycelia, depending on which direction you want to do the research on. There's a ton of different researches to be done. Penny stocks, yeah, Gerald, same as altcoins. Yeah, But except for they don't have actually, altcoins are better. Crypto is a better investment because it's cyclical. I guarantee you, 4 years from now, if you take and you did not get in on any altcoins right now, wait till, I don't know, September, October, November, they'll definitely be down. Start buying into this year, and just start buying and buying and buying. And by the time next halving comes up, you're a multimillionaire. So if you miss this halving, that's the one good thing about crypto. One bad thing about crypto is everyone else knows that, and they usually come up with 10 to 20,000 Ponzi schemes to get your tied into. So you really got to do your own research on that one and make sure you don't get one of those coins. There's about 300 that I've found that have made it through 2 to 3 halvings, which means that they're not scams, they're not Ponzi's. They actually have utilitarian use or some coding thing that's needed or something like that. So if you do your due diligence, do your due diligence on that, you can profit every 4 years. It's like withdrawing money from the bank every 4 years. And you can't do that with penny stocks, except for every now and then you do run across a penny stock that has intentionally not been allowed to go out of business because of whatever it's doing is too early. Tech's not there, but it's a useful thing once the tech gets there. So some entity will keep it afloat, and it'll jump from like 1 penny to 3 penny, 3 times a year for 10, 15 years going. If you can find one of those, like I said, that's a bank account, and that's the stock market, but they're not as easy to see or read as crypto is. What is 79 saying about me? Might lose brain cells. No. You're going to expand your synapses pathways. I make you question and think while giving you information to think about. Okay. SFRX. It caught my attention because they came up with, first off, 25 years ago, they came out on the market with a great idea, a business plan, and it was about $7 a stock. It's now like, I don't know, 5, it's like 0.005, so however much that is of a penny. But it's been like that for the past 15 years. And what they're inventing or creating or what their end game is of their company when they first came out in the stock market was to have an underwater drone that can not only do a sophisticated LiDAR and metal detecting, but also salvage operations for under reefs, because a lot of the 17th century shipwrecks in the Gulf of Mexico around Ecuador, El Salvador, all these areas, they're under reefs. Reefs have grown over them. And Mel Fisher, the guy who discovered that $3 trillion treasure in the Gulf of Mexico, he used dynamite on the reefs and destroyed the reefs for hundreds of years. So every country on the Gulf of Mexico made it illegal to treasure hunt and get the treasures. And there's billions and billions of dollars of treasures they know where they're at. It's not going to be we have to look for them. They know where they're at. What they're waiting for is a technology that can come along and only make like a 6-inch hole in the coral and extract all the treasures that the coral grew over. And what that company does, SFRX, they're working exactly on that technology. And what caught my attention is they're working hand in fist with the federal and state. They're in Florida. So the Florida state regulators and federal regulators and they're working hand in fist with them. And they've been at like 0.005 of a penny. So it's interesting that the government, state and federal government have been working with them on their technology, because obviously, the state and federal government get a piece of any treasure that comes off of the coastline. So they probably want them to be successful and are probably keeping them afloat. And that's the stock that I've noticed the past 5 years, about 2 to 3 times a year. It'll go from 0.005 to like 1 cent, 3 cents, and then it'll drop back down. But you can make a heck of a profit margin, because I don't see how a company like that could stay in business and fund itself, keep getting investments and pay its people if it's at 0.005 when it opened up 25 years ago at almost $7 a stock. Someone's got to be making a play to allow them to make money to stay in business. And I think it's a manipulated stock by the federal government to keep them in business, because they want their technology to be perfected, because the government's ultimately going to prosper off of any treasure that is extracted off of any coastline on the American coastline, because they get a percentage of it. So why wouldn't they want that free money? So they'll, why wouldn't they manipulate that company? I'm not saying it's that way. I'm just saying it looks like that to me, because any other company that's down that long, it's usually already out of business. I mean, 15, 20 years at less than a penny, and you started out at $6 a stock, you should be out of business. That's just how capital works. That's how the free market system works. You obviously didn't have good shit. What's up, Wilco? You didn't have a good product. You didn't meet your initial stock offering and your projectus that you gave to the investors of what you can or the company should do, and you never accomplished that. So you usually go out of business. They pull all their money, cut the losses. You go bye-bye. This company hasn't done it. Sorry for the long explanation, but that's the one. No, I don't watch Jim Rickards. I don't watch stock market people. There's this one guy, Good Morning Stacker. I watch him because he's in Australia, and his good morning time is 2:30 Pacific in the afternoon. So I'm up and around, and it's easy to watch. It's not an early morning thing where I have to wake up at like 6 or 7. Yeah, see, now Gerald seems to have a good one here. Keep an eye on that one, whatever that is. Check this coin on Gecko or Coin Market Cap for the following 2 weeks. Agent YP by Virtual's ticker. Yeah, check that one out. None of this is financial advice, by the way, people. These are just things. This is just people talking about their own personal research that they've done, sharing their ideas and their information that they've gained from their own personal research. It is not financial advice by any means, shape, or form. So do not take it as such. And always do your own due diligence, do your own research, and contact a professional before any investment opportunities you take. There you go. That's a disclaimer. JM Unleashed would appreciate that one. Definitely do your own research. Everybody, I know I will never give financial advice. I only give suggestions and information that I have discovered through my own research, and it could be wrong. So you have to follow up and do your own research at all times. Thank you. It also makes you smarter because you'll retain that knowledge, and when you go learn more knowledge, you'll be like, oh well, this go together, so it must. And then soon you'll start seeing pathways. They might not all be right, but you'll see pathways. Platinum. Platinum's a good investment, my friend. It costs about $1,200 for South Africa to pull an ounce of platinum ore out of the ground and get it in coin form, and you can buy it for about $960, $970 for less than it costs to pull it out of the ground and get it to you in that form. That's a steal of a deal, baby. I mean, that's not financial advice. That's just damn fucking. I mean, if you can't see, if you can't figure out that you can buy something for 3/4 of the cost of making it, isn't a good deal. Well, don't be stacking. Stacking is not what you need to do. And anyhow, platinum's fixing to jump up. I did 2, 3 reports on the reasons why it's going to be jumping up, and how I got confirmation that it will be jumping up. I actually have already made the call on the end of the manipulation of the platinum price from its historical double gold's price till the time 2012 or 2013, after South Africa joined BRICS and signed on with the One Belt Road Initiative, and platinum took a plunge, and it's been there ever since. There's reasons for these types of things. I believe I've discovered it. And in the discovery of them, that means that I almost positive I discovered who and the why the price is being manipulated. The price of platinum, that is. And no one talks about it because, well, quite frankly, no one wants to piss China off. And I ain't making no money off this channel, so I don't care if I piss them off. They're the ones manipulating the price, and I have shown what I consider to be evidence or circumstantial evidence through contracts that China signed with South Africa and the timing of it for the switch of the price. And then all of a sudden, 14, 13 years later, China's buying half the world's supply of platinum at what 20% of it the price that it should be at. I'm thinking they made the best business move ever, making that manipulation happen. They bought 2.5 million ounces of a 6 million supply. World supply of platinum was supposed to be at 7 million this year. It was already depleted down to 6 million because Impala Mines couldn't mine as much as they said they could. And then China buys half that supply. And what do they buy it for? Oh, not for catalytic converters, not for everything that anyone ever buys platinum for. They bought that platinum to make a new style of engine. So new technology has come along this year that China had to buy half the world's supply of platinum to be able to manufacture these new style of engines for 10 different car companies. Then the rest of the world gets 3.5 million ounces of platinum when they're supposed to have 4 to 5 million for all the use cases of platinum. So there's a short squeeze going on in platinum right now, and no one's talking about it. Sorry for the rant. That's just how it goes. I wouldn't count on his dog coin doing anything. I can see Elon Musk downplaying his coin because of his position, just to make sure he does not get perceived as being making money off of that, because that would be obviously wrong. Even though politicians do it all the time. But we'll see. The future's not yet written for us to see anyhow. Anyhow, guys, I wanted to keep this short. It already went a lot longer. I appreciate everyone showing up. I'm going to go ahead and end this so we can all have our good evenings. And Merry Christmas. God bless America and everyone here. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. And make sure to say a prayer for Carlos, a million restaurant tips, Ninja's moderator. He's went and had a biopsy on his lungs. We're not sure for another 3 days if it'll come back positive or negative for cancer. So if you keep him in your prayers, his name's Carlos. I would appreciate that. And with that, hey, 3D Woods. I'm just ending it, my friend. It's a little shorty. I just gave information on what's going on in the bio world and the human brain and all that good stuff. New medicine creation. Watch it. You'll see. Anyhow, you guys have a good evening, and I will talk to you later. Definitely Sunday, probably earlier, but definitely Sunday.